tutorial to how to use HorseSportPro for scoring. In a browser, preferably a Chrome browser, browse to HorseSport.pro and log in with the account that you've been assigned for scoring. Under My Competitions, you'll find the competitions that this account is authorized to access. Click the Edit button for the competition. In this case, it'll be the 2023 Great Falls Topaz Annual Fall Fest. Once you're inside that competition, go directly to the Scoring tab, click on it, and enter scores by class. From this drop-down menu, select a class. You'll be looking for the class that your judge will be scoring. They are organized alphabetically. They'll be organized according to class number at a future date, but right now your best bet is to scan down the numerical and then alphabetical ordering of the classes to find the one that you're working on. Let's use bronze as an example. Searching for that class, you'll find that you then select the test that you're working on and then the judge. You no longer have to do any selection of table. This will bring up a list of the competitors scheduled to perform this test in front of this judge. So they are also listed in the order that's been established in the order of go, and if the order of go is changed, this order will change as well. So usually you'll open the first competitor and you'll proceed to enter scores in the boxes corresponding to the ones on the printed page. You'll see that the vaulter's name is listed here. The judge's table you're sitting at will be here, and the judge's name is pre-filled in here. Scores go in the boxes as usual. Single numbers are fine. You don't have to add 0.0 if a whole number is given. For example, 2.0, you can just type 2. Do be aware that the system does not currently have any protection against invalid entries. So if I were to type 4.44, the system would take it and the system would calculate with it just fine. The system also doesn't have any numerical protection. So if I were to type 0.6, the system would do what it could with it, which in this case would be to treat it as a 0.6. So I've entered scores for all of the compulsories, a couple of them with formatting errors. I won't enter a horse score yet, but I'll hit the calc button and you can see that the system does what it can with these. So now I'm going to fix my numerical order, numerical errors. And I'll hit the calc button again and I'll get the average compulsory score. Of course, always make sure that you fill in all of the green boxes. Those are the ones that we're looking for scores in. You do have to hit the calc button to refresh the scores. So if the judge, for example, corrects a score, says wait, swings forward was supposed to be a 7 and not a 5, make sure to make that change and then hit the calc button again. These gray boxes are places where you will go back to the score sheet and write in the scores on the score sheet. Now what's going on behind the scenes? So in the system, back at the dashboard, if anyone goes to HorseSport.pro and looks at the available competitions, they'll see that for this competition, if they click the View Standings button, they are brought right to a results page with all of the results. So if we scroll down to bronze, we'll see that the scores we put in are already posted there. They're labeled preliminary. So just be aware that the scores you put in are visible immediately upon your entering them. By the way, the results you'll see here are half of the results that you entered on your page because, of course, the other judges' scores normally would contribute to the total that's exposed on the results page. And when it's time to go to the next vaulter, go ahead and just click the back button to go back to your list of competitors so that you don't have to start again at the beginning and search for the class and then the test and then the judge. So on to the next competitor and so forth. Now, to let you know what's going on in the back office, so you up in the judge's stand will likely be entering all of these scores. Then when your score sheets come back to the scoring office, they will go in and they will use the results tab to check the results that have come in. And if they're satisfied with all of the results that have come in, they'll set the status of the results to final. So until then, they'll be listed back in the public access as preliminary until competition management sets the status to final. Let's take a quick look at freestyle and tech test for individual. Pas de deux and team work roughly the same way. There's no surprises. So let's look at a freestyle. Select the test to be scored the same way as before. And again, you are always looking to fill in the green boxes. This is where the judges' scores can potentially go. So let's fill in some of these. For examples, remember nothing will calculate until you hit the calc button down here. So all of the green boxes have something in them or could potentially have something in them. You've evaluated them all, hit the calc, and then again, you can write back in the gray boxes any of these boxes which competition management has asked you to fill in on the score sheets. On to, I did want to note something for bronze in particular. There's some hard coding on this electronic score sheet that says top 10 exercises counting. Of course, that's not the case for bronze. It is the case for the other levels that only the top 10 exercises count when there's DoD exercises. However, you'll notice that the system is actually doing the proper thing. It says only the top 10 exercises are counting, but that's just the text. The system is actually counting all of the exercises. So for example, the last 4 easies are still getting their credit. Okay, on to a tech test. I've pulled one up. So same thing, no surprises here. Judges' scores go in the green boxes. Some of deductions you'll get from having kept a tally on the paper score sheet. Number of exercises you also have to fill in this case. In the case of bronze, you filled in the number of each level of exercise and it calculated for you, but for certain score sheets, you do have to calculate the number of exercises. The system will do the math for you, and then you'll hit the calc button. Tips and tricks for using the system. Firstly, I want to emphasize that if scores are entered in the system, but calc is not hit, this all-important calculation button, it never really went into the system. So here we'll see we have Lizzie Phelps' scores in, but I'm not going to hit calc. I've entered them into the system. If we hit back and then we go back into that score sheet, we'll see that they're still the way they were. So calc is really important. You probably won't forget to hit calc when you first put in scores in order to write back the score totals onto the paper score sheets, but I could see how it would be really easy to, just fix one score and then forget to re-hit calc. So please remember that. Here's a tip on ways to keep yourself organized. When you have a minute in the system, you can open multiple tabs with different score sheets. So as this class is getting organized to come in, you can use the right click if you have a mouse, or control click if you're using a keypad, and just open all these links. Open all of these links in new tabs. Open them one after another, and now you've got the whole class open. This can let you switch really rapidly between one competitor and the next. However, if you use this method, please be very sure to double check the names of the vaulters. They're not super prominently presented on these score sheets, and obviously it's crucially important to get the right vaulter's name on with the right scores. Similarly, if a vaulter is competing for scores only, or possibly has been eliminated for a technicality and is allowed to complete their class, but they're told by the judge that they're eliminated from awards and they can compete just for scores feedback, please make sure not to put those scores into the system. The system doesn't have any way to mark scores for, not really for competition, but just for experience. So please make sure that they don't go into the score sheets, into the system. The vaulter will receive the score sheet back in the folder, and that's the way that they'll get the feedback. As you use tabs to keep yourself organized, be aware that you can have a couple of classes open similarly. So here's the reference sheet for the copper individuals. You can similarly have the bronze class open as well. So the system is capable of keeping track of which classes are opening which tabs. So you can have as many tabs open as you need to be organized. On the other hand, if you find it simpler to simply go to one vaulter at a time, enter all of the scores, hit calc, and then go to the next vaulter, you can do it either by going back just to the list of vaulters, or when you're complete with your list of vaulters, or you want to switch to another class at any point, you can go back to the scoring, enter scores by class dashboard. I'd like to show you an artistic score sheet just because they look a little bit different. So in artistic, the only difference is that there are probably more scores to enter, but the principle is the same. Look for the green boxes. You want to make sure that the judge has processed all of these, that a score has been given, and that deductions have been considered, if there are any. There won't always be any. If there aren't any deductions, you can either put a 0 or leave the box blank. It makes absolutely no difference. Lastly, if a vaulter has a change of lunger or of horse, please make sure this is noted on the paper score sheet, and ideally flag that score sheet, maybe with a post-it note or some other way, so that the office will have its attention drawn to it. We cannot, as yet, in the scoring system, change lungers and horses. From this side of the system, we have to do it in the office from the registration side in order to keep our records straight. This can be important for our horse awards and end of the year awards. That's it for now. Thank you again for learning how to use the HorseSportPro vaulting scoring system. If you have any comments or questions or need help, don't hesitate to email hsp@equestrianvaulting.org. Thanks again.